While Kayla has retained his championship lead after Mosport, he has not beaten Seppa on track since round 2. With Andy T coming in to steal valuable points in a number of races, maximizing their results has been difficult. Will Bathurst change Kayla's path? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 6 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Rachel Whiteford. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Mount Panorama Circuit is one of the most fearsome racing venues in the world. While that might sound like hyperbole, let's head to our track guide to show you why it might not be as exaggerated as you'd imagine. Welcome to Mount Panorama Circuit. Most drivers simply refer to this place as Bathurst, with it being located just to the southwest of the city's major hub. But most ominously, and perhaps appropriately, it's been nicknamed the Mountain. With more than 500 feet of elevation change over the course of a lap, it's easy to understand why. Though originally built for racing, it's become a street circuit over time, with the track itself used for regular traffic and featuring residential housing all along the roads. This makes this 4-mile, 23-turn course incredibly unique in the world of racing. In the past, the track has hosted a variety of types of cars, including open-wheelers. But modern safety standards means that most competitive racing has now been limited to sports cars and touring cars. However, the dangers are very real due to the incredibly high speeds and lack of runoff throughout much of the circuit. The quickest parts are the run up the mountain straight towards Griffin's Bend, and then the flat-out blast back down the Conrad Straight and into the chase. This chicane was added in the late 80s to break up the run down to Murray's Corner. But while most chicanes are derided for ruining the character of a track, the terrifying speed as you approach it and the general difficulty make it fit right in with Bathurst challenges. However, the toughest portions are undoubtedly along the mountain itself, with notorious corners like the Cutting, Brock Skyline, the Dipper, and Forest Elbow. In fact, one of the more unique worries of this course is that all of these parts are so narrow that track blockages due to wrecks are not uncommon in the first few laps. The Australian fans often line the fences and hillsides to witness the daredevil spectacle of drivers trying to claim King of the Mountain. You can't blame them with how rare of a sight a track like Bathurst is today. Well, Rachel, this car and this track is quite a combination, especially considering they didn't actually race here. So what is this going to be like?
Well, it's going to be a really interesting track for them, because this car is a major downforce car, which means that the faster you go, the better it sticks. Very counterintuitive here at Bathurst. Of course, we start out with Hell Corner, as you see there, which is just a regular fast left 90. Mountain Straight, they are flat out the whole way. Quarry Bend, you're practically flat out in this car. It is a go for it and hold on. Climbing right-hander up towards the Cutting, big braking in towards Griffin's and through the actual bend there. Climbing up through Griffin's and Reed, they'll be flat out up to the crest at Solomon Park, where they'll shoot down towards McPhillamy. Come through there, most likely flat out as well over that crest down in towards Skyline, where they are diving into the S's, through the Dipper as well, which becomes a mega roller coaster, and you've got to keep powering through all these corners. You are, of course, slowing down for a lot of them, but it's then big Forest Elbow. You get through there, then you just use that momentum to cannon out onto Conrad, come flying down to the chase, and it's full throttle to the kink, breaking through the chase, trying to get out of there towards Murray's and out to finish a lap. This car is wild. To describe it to people who haven't driven it before, you have to use every limb independently. You are left foot braking, you are right foot on the gas, you are left hand on the wheel. You are right hand on the H-pattern shifter. Yes, these cars have H-pattern shifters. So you are literally using each limb independently all at once. It's like flying a helicopter, but 6 inches off the ground.
It certainly seems like a task, and I'm amazed at the speed these drivers can get out of them. But if we look at the championship here, it's been interesting. Marco Kayla still holding a significant gap over Severi Seppa, but part of that is because Seppa had to miss around, and we haven't included the drop weeks in this yet. And of course, as we mentioned, Andy T has been coming in and taking good finishes, a second and 2 wins in a row, but he hasn't committed to the season, and he isn't here today. Pauli Partanen and Juan Mikosta round out your top 5 with a nice close fight there for third with T. What about the team's championship here, Rachel? How's that one shaping up?
Well, right now, March Grand Prix team of Costa and Thomas are currently first place on 149, with Equip, Renault ELF, with Seppa and Herner in second place, 3 points behind them. Fittipaldi Automotive with Reed and Coriani in third, 24 points behind your leader, with the Essex John Player Racing team Lotus of Kaninsky and Valaklami. I apologize to both of you two there, I definitely ruined those names. Behind in fourth, 38 points back from the lead. And 43 points back from the leaders in fifth are Tolan and Salas of the Ragno Arrows Beta Racing team.
Some really close fights in that one for sure. But for today's event, not as many laps as we've been seeing lately because it takes so long to get around here, even in these high downforce cars, 23 that they'll be circulating. Open setup, but as we always mention, the community is pretty free about sharing those setups, and they don't have a spare car as well. So if you damage it, you're just going to have to deal with it or come into pit lane and repair it until it is drivable. And that drive-through penalty at 17 incidents, not exactly expecting that to be hit because you're most likely going to be winding up with quite a bit of damage before you suffer that. And then disqualification at 25 incidents in this series. We're already getting some first laps in on our qualifying. And interestingly, it looks like Costa has the pole position provisionally by a whopping half second over Alex Millward. Trying to see if we're waiting on some fast drivers to come in. And I know Ove Trangrade still needs to set one. And we're looking at Severi Seppa, who's all the way down in 8th. I'm not sure what went wrong on that first lap.
I'm not sure either, but it's very easy to make a mistake around here. It's fast, it's aggressive, and honestly, qualifying will be one thing, but finishing and winning are two separate things. I'll tell you why the community is so open about sharing the setups. Sure, you can have it, but can you drive it? Because this is 90% driver, and I'd say about 10% setup. The setup is important, but the driver is way more important in this car. Yeah, like a small mess up on a lap here with the amount of downforce this thing has and the speed it can achieve, it could ruin a lap entirely. And just, there are places to get good off tracks here, so it is easy to nullify a lap.
So Seppa's now coming down Conrad, picking up speed, already up to 170 miles an hour as he flies down towards the chase. Let's see if this one's going to be any better. He's got 1.2 seconds to make up to get to the pole, which Costa still holds at this stage. That one looked nice and tidy through there. Just one more corner to go, Rachel. Let's see if this is going to be an improvement.
It could be. He's got that last Murray corner coming up now. Big left, go all on the power, all the way through, under the bridge he'll come. And we'll see what this lap is. Is it good enough?
It's a 50.8. That is a decent improvement, but he stays in 8th place. Kayla has just taken the top spot by half a tenth over Costa. Last of the drivers now circulating across the line. This is Berquist, I think. Berquist, yeah, Jonas in the 24, who is yet to set one. He'll only get a single lap, unfortunately. And other than him, I see Gallus and Franco yet to put one on the board. We've got 23 drivers of our 26 that have managed to set a time. Ove Trangrade just took his second one for what it's worth, and it's another 50.8. So actually, Severi Seppa is now demoted to the 5th row. This might hurt his championship hopes even more.
It could do, but at the same time, this is a very different track. I don't think it will make that big a difference because qualifying here does not represent a race. Sure, being at the front will help you avoid a lot of problems, but so much can go wrong for anybody around this track, and it will. This place is punishing.
So into the chase, look how blind it is off the exit of that chicane there for the Scandinavian as he brings it down towards Murray's corner. He's got to get one on the board or else he's going to be starting from the back no matter what, and slides it out of that left-hander. It's a 52.6 that will get him on the board and into 19th, so mildly better than what he was experiencing before. Pablo Suarez, a 52.2, that's not going to be an improvement for him, and he is the last of our drivers able to set a time, unfortunately. So we're going to have at least one driver, Gallus, who will have to start from the back without really getting something representative. And that brings us to our starting grid with Marco Kayla taking the pole, a valuable 2 bonus points for the number 1 machine. Juanmi Costa starts from 2nd, and Peter Konietzki will be in 3rd. Millward starts from P4, followed by Pauli Partanen in the 5th position. And its fellow countryman Tolanen starting on his outside with Timothy Reed 7th, Ove Trangrade 8th, and Severi Seppa, as we mentioned, all the way down in 9th. Christophe Dubois will start from 10th. Rachel?
11th place will be Xavier Sanchez with Dylan Frederick alongside him, or Frederick Freckleton. There we go. Behind them is Shane Swerts with Loic Barb in 14th place, with Karthik Pai in 15th and Javier Mosquera in 16th, Pablo Suarez in 17th, Tamas Bafati 18th, with Jonas Bergquist in 19th, Barry West in 20th. Hi Barry, I remember you. Frankie D in 21st with Keith Herner 22nd, John Tackleberry in 23rd. Tackleberry, I just keep thinking of the police academy for a second. Rafael Franco 24th, Edu Villa 25th, with Daniel Gallet in 26th and last.
So 26 cars will be plenty around here, and as you look at the weather, a decent amount of wind in there, and not certainly too hot on the track surface. But Rachel, is that enough wind that, with how aero-dependent these cars are, that's going to be a problem?
Taking a quick look at my stat sheet here for the wind. Yeah, it'll be fine. It's only 10 miles an hour. If we're talking 50 or 60 miles an hour, we might have an issue, but the cars won't notice that. Maybe on the straights is the only place that will have a possible impact.
Looks like just a couple more to grid up here, and then we're on our way for the halfway mark in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. Pablo Suarez is going to be the last to place himself, and then the drivers will get going. And it looks like the engines are now revving as the lights come up. Now the green flag is out off the line. Kayla looking decent, but not as good as Costa, who's already looking around the outside up into hell corner. A little bit of 3 wide, and already the second row gets into one another. Konietzki goes off in the first corner. He's having to let everybody by. I'm not seeing any more problems amongst them.
No, it looks pretty clean so far. The big run up here towards turn 3. And this is the diving now. Got 2 wide for second place as they're looking for a slot, and oh, they'll filter through nice and cleanly. More than one line here with how much downforce is on this car, so it's not quite as aggressive as other vehicles where the aero can be taken off of you. It's so downforce heavy here.
Looks like Barry West went a little wide, but I think he avoided the wall. He fell to 20th, unfortunately. But already the leaders up towards the top of the mountain now. Kayla leading Costa, but a second and a half back to Timothy Reed. That little melee through the first corner definitely cost the rest of the field time to the top 2.
Yeah, it certainly has, and you'll get that, but they'll start coming back when wrecks start piling up at the side of this track, and believe me, they will. It's not going to be avoidable, really, in this sort of circuit. As they come down now towards the S's and the Dipper, this is an absolute riot in this car. You have to hang on and go for it.
Looks like we've had one incident so far. Alex Millward, thankfully everybody was heads up getting by him, and up just before McPhillamy Park, he unfortunately slapped the wall, held it stationary, and has since had to take a tow. Look at him fly down this hill towards the chase, and Kayla looks a little bit out of reach from Costa, at least at this stage. So as we ride on board with Juanmi, he's got about half a second to make up to that number 1 car. He's been hovering around at the top of the points all season long, but is yet to take a victory. This could be a good opportunity for him with the way this track often throws up surprises.
Yeah, completely. If you're looking for an oddball race, this is it. This is where you'll get a result that you weren't expecting. If you can drive this place, if you can survive this place, you really have that chance. And Keller, Costa, and Reed, they're looking fast here, but fast is not just enough.
Nope, gotta be safe, gotta be clean through here. Already 2.5 seconds now to Timothy Reed there in 3rd place. As we look at the battle for 7th, this is Dubois leading Trangrade, Sanchez, Freckleton, and Sywerts into Griffin's Bend. Oh, and 1 car off behind them. Was that Barba? I think it was in the 2. Not sure if he got the wall or not, but he definitely lost some positions.
Yeah, he did. I think he got a bit of a slowdown there, had to get off there. We have got left front wing damage, so he's definitely contacted something. We're just not sure what yet.
Try and take a look at that in a little bit. Oh, we got another victim of the mountain. Oh, and it's collecting more. It's Trangarade, and I think looks like Dubois maybe, and multiple cars unfortunately piling in on this. Oh no, it's a big mess here up at Reed Park.
I can tell you what happened. It was a wall slapper for the number 18 of Dubois. He got into the outside wall, and that brought him sideways across the track, collected by the 9 car. And, well, everything went horribly wrong after that.
You can see just drifted back at the racing line there from that view. And, yeah, it's so blind. Walls on either side, so many crests. And there wasn't much chance for drivers to try and avoid. Amazingly, some of them getting it turned around and trying to continue on. We're going to take one more glance at it from poor Ove Trangrade, who just gets sent into a spin cycle. And thankfully, he parked it offline and took a tow.
Honestly, it's faster here to try and limp it to pits and get repairs than it is to tow in many cases.
I think he was just not willing to try and risk more cars. And this is Freckleton. Oh, and he was even off before he hit the car. Got scared off the racing line, and cars just bouncing like popcorn out there, unfortunately. Well, this has cost us a lot of drivers. We went from roughly 24 cars on the track to down to what looks like about 18 of them running. We come back to Juan Costa, who is still within that half a second of Marco Kayla. But Marco, a championship leader, seems to have made good of his pole position and is so far running the race for everybody else.
That's what you've got to do in many of these cases. You've got to just get your car in gear and go for it. You've got to just try and run this place because you need to treat it like a hot lap. If you have to race somebody, which he will, as Costa is right here, you got to pretend you can't see them in the mirror. Just drive your race in your line. If they get to you, deal with it then. But until then, it's not worth bothering because you've got to focus this track. This track will get you, and it will try real hard, lap and lap again. You can get into a rhythm. I have driven this car at this track, and it is a very fun experience. It is wild. But just like at driving any downforce car across the mountain here, you've just got to be millimeter perfect. Maybe you lose a little bit of time, sure, but you've got a choice of lose a bit of time or hit a wall, because there is no real tolerance here in terms of going off. There's no runoff, no grass, no asphalt, no sand traps, apart from a very few rare locations where, honestly, it won't matter at that point.
Certainly not, as we see the battle now for 8th position. Pi leading Barthai and Suarez here, racing down into Murray's corner. A little bit of a gap forming between Tomas and Karthik up at the front of this trio. And down towards Hell Corner, here's going to be that critical corner exit. Karthik trying to get the power down as soon as he can, and that looked decent enough. They're not going to show signs of anybody having a good enough run to try and attack here unless someone really breaks early. And we come back now to the Raccoon Racing Machine of Marco Kayla. Doesn't have his teammate Andy T here today to help him. Instead, he's dealing with the pressure of one of his championship rivals.
Yeah, that'll really do it for him. He's just got to make sure he tries to keep it on track. And he keeps saying this throughout the race so far, but it is really more relevant than you possibly imagine. It is very, 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 very much the main focus. Right now, championship rival, put it out in mind. Don't worry about a championship at Bathurst. You can't. Even when it's just a one race, you've got to put it in there and just think about this race as an individual entity, because the more you worry about championships, the more you're going to think about playing slightly more safe than you should, and if you don't commit to this track, it will get you. It's a strange one, because whilst at other places you might be able to back off and run a little bit slower and maybe lose a spot or two here, you lose concentration if you lose the flow.
Well, speaking of losing a spot, Barba just made up for losing his earlier as he went by a damaged Keith Herner. Keith knew that he's got, whoa, and ahead of him a spin. That's Frankie D. That's the second time within a lap that the 14 has had an incident, and I was just about to mention it was Keith Herner that ran into him before. He's going to keep trying to limp it, but he's really a bit of a hazard on the circuit. As you said, it's quicker to try and drive your way back, and this is after the first incident where these two came together. So
yeah,
we're
he
going
got grass on the entrance to the dipper. He came in too tight to the apex of the dipper and tried to basically run it too shallow. You'll see it here. As he comes down around this corner, here it is. Watch him here, bam, grass, and round he goes. And that's what you can't do. You've got to actually really curve the dipper. It feels like he goes so wide and it takes forever, but it is super fast when you just drop down that kink. But he was too tight to the inside there. Tried to straighten it out.
And he unfortunately lost it on his way down Conrad, so he's finally parking it from there and calling it a day. And, whoa, what happened to Costa? Costa is off now. Another driver that has unfortunately found the walls. And this time it was just a brush, but it was enough that caused him to have a second hit, and the car was not good enough to keep going. And he had to also take a tow. Here's the view of his perspective.
Yeah, this track will get you. We keep saying this, and I think we will underestimate why we keep repeating this, but he'll get even the best and the fastest people. It is a challenge, I think it's safe to say, but we keep harping on about this. We don't really need to. But it shows there, that's running out towards the exit of, if I'm guessing my corners right, that was towards Sullivan up at the top as you climb up to the very peak of the track here. And it's a kind of tighter left-hander where you do have to get off a little bit beforehand. If you track out a little wide, you can go out to there. So I think a lot of drivers are having that issue. We've seen 3 in that so far.
So we come back now to Suarez, having been promoted up into 8th, still being chased by Tomas and Peter. Now, actually, Karthik Pai running away. He was part of this group before, too. And now Konieczny has replaced him at the back instead. So the 16 now inserting himself into this, and we're only starting lap 6 for them, so they have a ways to go in this race. I tell you what, your crystal ball has been pretty on it today, Rachel, because Severi Seppa's already up to 4th.
Yeah, this is a race of attrition in any class of car, whether it's V8 supercars, GT cars, Indy cars, NASCAR trucks, or Lotus 79s. I mentioned the others for weird reasons, but it is attrition, and it is about survival. If you can race clean here and race a clean lap, and consistently put in that clean lap, you will go up the running order. So, I mean, take for example our guy that started 26th and last, Daniel Gallet, didn't set a time. Only one who did not qualify. Where is he currently? Up 14 places in 12th. He's about to hit that top 10. And he did not set a quality time. He started at the back and avoided all the carnage and silliness, and it has paid off for him so far. In fact, so far, he is in 12th. 24th place started. Franco is in 11th. 25th, Villa. 15th, 22nd, and 14th. We're almost seeing the grid invert itself here. This is what it's like at Bathurst.
Continue to watch the fight between Suarez, Bartfai, and Konieczny down through Forest Elbow. Everybody trying to get the power down now and starting to pick up speed down the hill. I think Konieczny's got a good shot. He's starting to close in. He's got the slipstream. Tomas is not going to be able to fight it. They're going to go wheel to wheel as they come into the kink. They should have enough downforce to be able to handle this, but the question is, who's braver on the brakes? It looks like it's going to be Konieczny as he now takes himself into 9th and sets his sights on Suarez.
Yeah, that will do it. It's about getting that positioning, and there are some great opportunities around here. You could find some really nice places to make passes. One of those is the kink if you are close enough. If you can get the speed, you can actually come through here, the kink, and you can dive in the braking into this section just ahead of it, which makes it real easy. The chase section of the track is a great out-braking opportunity. Murray could be, but it's deceivingly short. You don't really have the time to get alongside someone here. Turn 3 also works too. That is a good one, Quarry Bend. I wouldn't even bother across the top of the mountain. It is not worth your life.
Well, Konieczny didn't need to bother. He got by again, once again, using the slipstream. Suarez now demoted, so Peter's on a tear. And no wonder. Remember, he started in 3rd, and he got tipped off in the first corner through hell. So as we ride on board with Suarez, you can see Peter just kind of disappearing up and over the crests here. And this view should really show us how scary it is, having to get right up to the walls. Like you were talking about, Rachel, there's just no room. There's a bit of runoff to the outside, but I've seen so many cars at high speeds fly into that gravel and hit the outside wall. And now having to slow up down through the dipper, and the commitment through here is so immense. It's literally a blur with our onboard camera.
Yeah, it really is. The speed of these cars is insane. They are the peak of F1's real speed and design philosophy at the time of the downforce car and the active suspension, of course. They became absolute monsters, these machines, and we've been regressing since on purpose to try and make things safer. But this thing is a machine, and those who've driven it and have survived a lap, you get this grin on your face that you just can't get rid of. It's fun. It is scary. It feels like you're riding a wild stallion, but it is so much fun.
Well, down into Murray's. Suarez still ahead. Oh, and something's happened to Seppa. Seppa goes off at Hell Corner. And I think this was his own mistake. If we get the replay on this, I don't see anybody near him. So the 3 gave up a couple valuable spots in that one. There's out of the final turn, past the finish line. And here's where he had his issue. Let's watch. Didn't even touch the grass.
No, it's not really necessary, but you just get close enough, you can actually get slightly offline there and it will grab the car around.
So he falls to 6th place. Partanen gets promoted, and Sanchez now up into 4th. I was just about to say that Partanen, who sits 4th in the championship, is going to lose out to Kayla as well. Really, Marco's main rivals in the points are all losing out big time because Seppa just had his spin, and he had a bad qualifying, as we mentioned as well, hoping for some attrition to help him. T is not here, and then Juan Costa has wrecked out. So Ove Trangrade, he also wrecked out. He's 7th in the points. I think Timothy Reed is also... No, Timothy Reed is in 2nd, so Timothy Reed looks to take advantage of all that's been happening. We've got Bartfi up 4 positions from where he started this race. Actually, I'm seeing 8 positions up there for the 25 car as he gridded in 18th.
Yeah, that would definitely do it. Impressive climb so far through the field. But that's what you can do here. It's about surviving, and they're doing that.
Out of the chase, Tomas still right behind Pablo. And as he tries to outbrake him, doesn't seem like he's close enough through that corner. We hop on board, looking over his shoulder. Coming into Hell Corner. This is where he's got to try and get the best exit he can, and the car just slides out of there, but he's still within range. I'm curious if this is close enough for the slipstream.
Oh, it might be, but I don't think it's close enough, really. It's just not quite there yet. So it's about avoiding that and making sure you have the right time to set it up. I'd say run it into Quarry will be the best chance for this.
So Tomas now up the hill, and the difficult braking into the cutting, one of the steepest parts of this track. Plenty of cars actually lose speed through there, just trying to get the power down out of the corner. But he's not gaining, it seems, in this part, just kind of holding even behind his rival. I'm half watching this and also watching Partanen and Sanchez, who remain close for the 4th position. And over Skyline down the hill, they're going to now start to drop elevation, the gut flying up into their throat as they continue to plunge. And now we check in on Sanchez in the blue machine briefly. They're leading Partanen.
Yeah, they're still pretty close together, but like the group up ahead, they're not attempting to get close is the reason, I think, because you do get dirty air the closer you are to the car in front, which can be a major problem for this car. But you also don't want to attack over the hill. Use it as a brake. If anything, it might seem weird, but running across the top of the mountain at Bathurst is the bit where you can relax in racing. You don't have to worry about the other car. No one is stupid enough to go for it up there. Until the last lap when, watch out.
Yeah, exactly. Apparently Daniel Gallus, the latest victim. The 15 car has wrecked out. Few are going to take that spot away because Vila is back out there. Bergqvist is also running again. Otherwise, I see a few drivers still taking repairs. Frankie D, Mascara, Barry West trying to see if they can bang away at that sheet metal. Here we watch the wreck with Daniel, and once again, over these fast left-handers past Solomon. This time, though, instead of hitting the wall first, he loses it, and the rear hits.
Yeah, that will happen if you lose the downforce and the back end starts to slide. This car will end up in every direction you want but forwards.
And Barber just got another spot. Franco is going to slow up, let him through. We check in on Partanen with about half a second of Sanchez, getting close to the halfway mark in this race. And Xavier feeling the pressure we've been talking about. Hopefully he's not looking behind, looking forward, trying to focus on getting the launch down Conrad. But look at that. Pauli is within range. This is going to be a good opportunity already, up to 165, 170 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's the big opportunity you want to go for, try and make it here. I think he's close to go for this one, but it's going to be tight. They're going to be nearly alongside. Here we go. This is where you go for the outbraking maneuver.
Wow, great stuff there from the 7. He is through, and that'll be 4th place for Partanen. Finally gained a position since the start of this one. Sanchez had begun in 11th, but he does not have the grip off of the final turn as he loses ground. Another look at it. I was with you. I thought he was maybe a little too far back to make this stick, but he was very brave on the binders.
Yeah, I think he found it, and that's the way you've got to be in the kink there, in the chase, sorry. You've got to come out of the kink, use that outbraking, dive into the inside of the chase, and you can make it stick. Because they will give you the room if you put the car outside, and there's plenty of room to do it. It's one of the best corners for that move.
Absolutely. So, up to 4th place. Let's see if he can run away from Sanchez now that he's managed to demote him. Unfortunately, if he was being held up, it cost him a lot of time. It's 10 seconds up to Jukka Tolvanen, who is the last step on the podium currently. This will be a full lap in clear air, so that will really tell us, compared to his previous laps, whether Partanen was being held up. I wonder if we could jump back to Suarez and Bartfi, because those two still engaged in a sort of battle for the 8th position, although Tomas looks like he's dropping back as soon as I say that, naturally. And the 25 going to have to regain some ground. Let's see if he's able to find any tents here down through the dipper.
Yeah, keeping it in there, trying to get that run through, but again, just riding at this point. You're not really pushing too hard, but you've got to focus, of course. That guy's in front of you. He was about Forest Elbow. Again, that good run through there, because if you're trailing a car coming down Forest Elbow, you want to get the fastest run through you can, because that big launch is what sets you up here for this run down under the Fuso Bridge, in towards the kink and into the chase. Nowhere near close enough here. It can be deceptive at some points, but they're so far apart right now, it's not even funny. He's not really even, I'd say, just about maybe the edge of draft range, but not anywhere near a suck-up pass sort of distance. So coming through, they'll go into the Armorall Bridge down towards Murray and through to another lap here, but yeah, you can vary. It's like a bungee cord between cars on this track.
Well, I think I have my answer. Partanen set his fastest lap of the race at a 51.7, and he was running 52s before when he was behind Sanchez. So should see him continue to hopefully pull away, at least hopefully for him. Sanchez going to try and ride that draft as much as he can. Now looking at that fight between Tomas and Pablo into Griffin's Bend, uphill right-hander. And you can see it's a little bit late in the day. It's almost 6 p.m. virtual standard time here in Australia in the sim. So the sun kind of coming down as they climb that hill towards the cutting. Hopefully that's not getting in their eyes too much. And I know some people would be giggling at that, but if you've got the graphics cranked up, it really can be a distraction in the sim.
It really can, but I think the biggest thing these drivers have to worry about is actually a real menace when you come towards the end of this lap. As you come down through the dipper, you enter an area of forest, so one of the biggest safety concerns here for these drivers is the risk of drop bear attack. Because with the trees so close to the actual racing line, they could appear from any time. You could be just driving down, just hurrying down towards Forest Elbow, and wham, drop bear lands in the cockpit. And at that point, you are in real trouble, because that little guy is mean. He will go for you, and no Nomex racing suit will protect you. It'll be like a face hugger in Aliens, but furry.
Wonder if we could get an update from Sean Ambrose on if iRacing's working on the kangaroo model here.
Those are koalas, not.
But yes, I know.
Kangaroos are a bit big. They have actually been on the track before, though.
Oh yes.
Previously, supercar and the 6-hour races here. Roos have been on the track at this place.
Oh yeah, I've seen those videos, and that looks as frightening as a deer as Kayla is getting the frightening moments, and sliding the car around. But he is pushing it harder than anybody else, because Timothy Reed is continuing to drop there on that lap chart. It is now up to nearly 9 seconds.
Yeah, that's a pretty decent gap, honestly, for Kayla. Doing a great run with this thing, absolutely pushing this thing to a wild level. But when you've got this much gap, you really can afford to just run your numbers.
And that was Suarez staying ahead of Hamas. Let's watch the replay of that one. This is one of the best runs that Thomas had. And now he starts to drop back as things get a little bit twisty here. He almost had it, but every time I've tried around the outside or seen someone try the outside here, Rachel, it rarely works out.
Not the best place for it. It's theoretically possible, but in all practical terms, it costs you both time.
Yeah, that off-camber nature around the outside just was not going to allow him through. I think he'll get some more chances. He's keeping with it, glued to the gearbox of the number 19. Currently 11 more laps, so still plenty of times around to try and utilize the draft or maybe a mistake out of Pablo. Looks like he might be a little too far back down Conrad, although he should get reeled in somewhat. Last time we were here, we saw some drivers really trim the things out to try and find speed and make themselves hard to pass, which proved to be quite invaluable. I don't think we've seen it as much today, Rachel, but I guess if you were in the car, which way would you go? More downforce or risk trying to make it a rocket ship?
That's a really tough decision because I've not driven it here in a while, but I think you want to go for a medium to low setup in the car because you have enough mechanical to handle it around the top of the track here, but if you can find a little bit nibble of extra speed through some of these fast, flat-out corners the Lotus can take, then you'll have a real advantage. So you want downforce, just not too much for the straights.
Here we go. But this time, it looks like Tomas is not going to ride in the slipstream, forcing Suarez to stay defensive. Now he comes back to the racing line. They're going to stay in order through Griffin's Bend. So once again, this has been a little bit of a stalemate. Ooh, and I see Vila in pit lane. I'm not sure what caused that. We'll check in on that. Boy, very strong through the cutting. Tomas continuing to keep Suarez honest by filling his mirrors.
That's one of the biggest things you can do to get someone to make a mistake here is just be in their mirrors, stay there the whole time, make them think, make them worry. And at Bathurst, that can put them in a wall.
Here's Vila. Let's see what the Club Iberia driver experienced. He's missing the nose on the thing. And, well, he doesn't overshoot the corner. Does he just pull it into pit lane, maybe? Yeah, he's had enough of the day and has decided the very 1981-looking front wingless car is not worth continuing on. He was down in 13th. I think he might be overtaken by a few cars, so him giving up early is unfortunately to cost him a few positions. Back to Tomas now on screen as we watch, and no pass this time down into the chase between these pair.
No, not this time, but, you know, it's about trying to find... I think for a lot of guys, this is the drop week, so they're either going to go for it all, or they're just going to say, screw it, I've tried. But Tomas is doing a good job right now. I'm really looking forward to see where he can go with this. It's plenty of time, really, to make something happen. It's just positioning is going to be the big factor for him.
Big dive into the inside, into the first corner. That actually hampered Tomas that time. Suarez able to retain his P8 and get the better exit up to boot. So Barfai is going to have to try again later. But almost looking like he's maybe trying some different things, trying to get creative out there and catch Pablo napping.
That's one of the best ways to do it. Pablo could get caught here. They're not too far apart, so there's definitely opportunity right now for that 25 car. But we'll have to just see what comes of this race in terms of both of them surviving it. We've got a good number of laps left here, so they've got to make sure they're not getting into too much trouble.
So over a skyline once more, down to 9 laps to go. Actually, make that 8 here very soon, at least for our leader. He just crossed the line. That tells you how much he's gained on these guys, because he's about half a lap around here, and it nearly takes 2 minutes to circulate this place. So it's been just an incredible pace from our overall leader, which also, for what it's worth, this will be the first win for Marco since Road America in round 2. If he can keep this up and take it home, we're going to watch down into the chase once again, and Suarez just way too far ahead. Also worth mentioning, since they were in the fight with Karthik Pai a little bit earlier, Karthik has gapped them by 14 seconds. The 13 car has no interest in hanging around with them.
No, Karthik Pai is off. You could say that car is 3.14159 times faster. Sorry, I had to at some point, but
well played.
Yeah, he's cleared off here, so he's managed to get a good set of clean air, and the clean air is important when you're actually fighting someone in racing. It can be that bad, but I think if Barfly gets past, we might see if he's quicker than Suarez, but I don't think he'll be enough to catch up with Pai.
You could say he's been able to square the circle as we watch the the pair of the 19 and the 25 once again coming up the hill. Every time probably holding their breath a little bit through some of these corners around the blind cutting, and then working to the right. And this circuit has been a challenging one. In fact, we've only got, if I'm seeing correctly, 13 cars. Half the field has DNF'd today, and we're only down to 8 laps to go. So the attrition has been beastly, and whoa! And it takes another as Tomas Barfly finds himself going a little too deep into the S's and hits the wall.
Yeah, he does. Unfortunate for him there. It'll happen. Just one lapse of concentration and gets you, but racing Bathurst is like the First World War. You may all go over the top, but not all of you will make it back.
Let's see from Tomas's perspective. Did he clip the grass, or was the curb at least? Not sure if that's what did him in, but it did take him to the wall. I think he's able to keep racing, but he is losing time to Pablo. Here's another look at it.
Yeah, I think at this point, with the gap behind him being about 7 seconds, he will lose a spot, but then maybe he can hold on, I'm not sure. Like, he could definitely maintain lead lap. Worst he's going to drop, I think, will be 12th.
Yeah, Barba 3 seconds behind Franco, about 14 seconds behind him, so it'll need a drastic drop in pace for him to lose the next one back to Rafael. So we come to Timothy Reed. This is probably more the race that you want out here at Bathurst, because we haven't really watched, and actually watching from onboard Tolan and chasing Timothy Reed, excuse me. But Timothy, haven't really shown him all that much, has just been kind of cruising, inheriting spots, and he's looking at a second place after gridding up in 7th.
Yeah, welcome to Bathurst. You can do that sort of thing here. Xavier Sanchez, of course, he's up from 11th to 5th right now, which is a massive climb for him, but we've got guys from 15th, 17th, and 18th on the grid, and 14th in the top 10. So it's been a big shake-up. Lap traffic will actually start to become a factor now as we start to go through that phase of this race, and lapping people, that's when we'll really start to see this become a thing. But with most of those guys who are laps down retired, yeah, that'll be a thing.
So, as we watch from the Finn, who's going to extend his points lead here today, it's now a 9, almost 10-second gap back to Timothy Reed, Raccoon Racing car, which we need to ask him next time we talk to him. Hopefully he'll come in here post-race, because we've referred to it as a Williams livery, but it looks more Williams-inspired considering the races for Raccoon Racing. And up in front of him, as was mentioned, that is lap traffic. Keith Herner still with the very mangled front wing. who sees him coming. He's going to lift. That is veteran experience right there from Herner, knowing just where he can place himself to keep out of the way.
Oh, it really is. And the real question is he really into zombie films? You know, is it Raccoon City racing, or does he just like trash?
I'm glad I'm not the only one that... even our director says he was thinking the same thing. So I guess the children of our era all have sending our minds to that set of video games. As we come down, Conrad once again, and Timothy Reed still not able to gain. And Jukka Tolvanen still back at about, actually up to 0.8 of a second. Is Jukka gaining since we last looked? I think he is.
There's a slight gain there, so that could be advantageous. I have a stroke, I do apologise. He's getting a lot closer there, so that could be an advantage, but he's going to need a lot more than that to get a pass as well.
They've got no pressure from behind. The 8 is 11 seconds ahead, 0.4 quicker as they came across the line. Tolvanen now probably going to feel a little bit of the effects of the draft. And we're down to 5 to go. Let's see, where is Tolvanen in the points actually coming into this thing? Because I'm not seeing him up towards the front. He is a part of the 5th place team coming into it, the Arrows team, hence the livery there on him. And this will certainly help that Arrows team in the points, or the team championship, but in the driver's standings, yeah, he must be well down there, because I am not seeing him. Yeah, okay, there he is. He's 32nd. And let's see, he did miss 3 of the 5 rounds we've run so far. So I suspect that is part of why he is where he sits, but this will easily be his best finish of the season, even if he doesn't overtake Reed.
Yeah, for some guys, this is a really good race to get some valuable points in where other drivers they know will fail. So a safe race will get you a good result at Bathurst at least.
Out of Forest Elbow. Once again, going to try and reel in Reed. You can see the number 4 in front of him. And as they start to pick up speed, he's feeling a little bit of the effects. Reed giving a thank you over the radio as they overtake Herner, the next to lap the number 22. There's only 1 lap down, by the way. Keith Herner, even though he's been limping around for quite some time, is doing his darndest to try and make the best of this. He'll still finish 12th, and I don't think he's going to be caught by Bergqvist. Mark Michaela setting another fastest lap.
He's off, so it's a win, really.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a game of survival. Oh, and it's not a game of survival for Tomas in the 25. The same spot as before. He finds himself in trouble. And this time, Barba applying enough of the pressure to elicit almost the exact same mistake. It's a carbon copy, except this time, he doesn't keep it pointed forward.
It's one of those tracks in cars where if you make a mistake at somewhere, you panic next every time you come to that section of track again in that corner, and you're super sensitive to actually running through that corner, knowing that happened to you, thus making it normally happen again.
I have to confess, I hate breaking down through the S's there. Just the way the weight of the car all gets on the nose with the downhill, and you're steering and changing directions multiple times, and you're braking. It scares the willies out of me. We're going to see if it scares Barba having to avoid a wrecking car. Let's see what he sees.
Honestly, as we see him do it, I mean, I love that corner. I think it's fantastic fun, but I'm crazy.
Apparently. And a little bit of luck there for Barba. Loic just has the car kind of clear the way for him and float off to the side. So didn't have to do all that much avoidance, and he'll get up into 9th because of that. I think that means we're down to only 12 cars running. Loic takes it into pit lane. He did manage to at least drive it home. We come back to Partanen in the 7. Tolvanen rather, in the 8 car, just ahead of him rather, chasing Timothy Reed down into Murray's Corner, and we're down to 3 laps to go. Now is when opportunities are starting to dwindle away for the Finn. If he wants to try and overtake the Club Atlantic driver, he's going to have to really get on it.
Yeah, he really will, but I think there's still just about time to do it here. And as people have said, just making it through this race counts as a win. And considering that in iRacing you gain I rating from finishing in the top half and about half the field survived Bathurst, if you make it to the end, you gain I rating. Perfect.
Yeah, that is a great point on this one. And let's see if Bart Fye can get back out. Well, even if he doesn't get back out, he's guaranteed a 12th place. With the number 25 on his car, he's going to have a decent gain, safety rating notwithstanding. Keith Herner, 22 on his car, finishing 11th. Franco with a 20 on his car, finishing in 10th. Suarez with a 19, finishing 8th. Going to be a nice day for a number of them, regardless. And things are getting tighter here for Jukka Tolvanen. It's down to 0.4 of a second now. Timothy Reed, is he finding himself shooting those eyes over to the mirrors? Is he watching, or is he able to put that behind him? And a little bit of a bad exit there from Tolvanen, and we're understanding that didn't sound good from the onboard. Let's see if he has trouble here. Down into the chase. Looks like he regains some of that ground. These are 70s tires on these things, Rachel, so we often talk about they're made to last through the race.
No, they're newer than that. Come on. The cars from the 70s. I think the tires are pretty recent, but yeah, they are new. The tires are new, this build. So they might be 70s design, but they are new rubber. 70s rubber might be a little difficult to race on because it's very crunchy at that point. Although bringing up the topic of 70s rubber makes me shudder uncontrollably, so I'm moving swiftly on here before the jazz starts playing. What's Keller doing? Marco is out front by 9.2 seconds. Wow, isn't he fast?
Thank you, Amelia Bedelia, for being literal there. As Tolvanen has to continue to put the pressure on Timothy Reed up into the chase, and Marco Kayla feeling none of that. However, it's dropped to about 9 seconds now. Did he have a slow lap in there? Last two laps from a 50.4, he's gone to a 51.2 and a 51.2. I'm going to take a wager that the one car might be backing out of it a little bit just to try and bring this one home. He's built such a gap. And Jukka Tolvanen, now chasing, has got a shot at least getting one position, even if it isn't the lead.
I think it's an opportunity, yeah. That was skin tight to the wall there.
Ooh.
This is how you really go run.
And he's around.
Is he? Oh.
Oh, no.
Not why.
Tolvanen just losing control down into Forest Elbow. And we heard last time, our director mentioned that he thought he heard some wheel hop. Not sure if that's what happened here. Yeah, it is. Let's listen in. Down through the S's, into the dipper, and then a little bit more of a weave, and here is Forest Elbow out of this right-hander.
Oh, there you go, the wheel hop, you see it, and he just lost the back in a step round.
Now he is still running. The gap that he built over Partanen has him a 4-second gap, and since we are 1 lap to go, he's got a good shot at least staying in third. But he gave it his darndest, and unfortunately, Timothy Reed was a little too cool under pressure to fall for him. Partanen actually just took the fastest lap of the race. 2 bonus points going to the number 7 car if he can retain that. Kayla doesn't seem like he has any interest. In fact, 52.5 last time by from Marco Kayla. I'm starting to worry that maybe he underfueled it a little bit.
I think he's just slowing down to save it. He's got 10 seconds to play with. No need to race. We're on... Yeah, he's good, I think. He could relax a little bit.
Okay, down through the dipper. Let's see. Down to 6 seconds between himself and Reed. Is this giving Timothy a little bit of false hopes? The American just trying to see if he can get this second place. And we watch from on board Marco Kayla just wheeling this thing down Conrad. You can see how bumpy the track is and how much feedback these cars have. This is all analog on these things. And into the chase. 2 more braking zones. 178 miles an hour before he finally blows it up. And one last corner. Marco Kayla has managed to take his first win since round 2 here at Bathurst. It's victory in round 6 for the Finn.
Yeah, I just think he didn't want to make any mistakes. It was nice and easy there. He could afford to just back it down. Great run for him. And Timothy Reed coming across the line there as well in second place. Tolanen coming out of Murray now. Under the bridge he'll come to take a third place. Nice and solid for him there. This has been a roller coaster of a race on a roller coaster of a track.
Indeed. Seppa winds up in 6th. He never did catch up to Partonen Sanchez after he lost those positions. In fact, Karthik Pai ran him down to within about a second and almost caught him. So looks like the last of them coming through, with the last driver on the lead lap being Rafael Franco in 10th position. He was way behind Loic Barba, who climbed back up to at least 9th. Let's head to a quick break, though. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. Make sure and stick around.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12-Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Mount Panorama Circuit. Bathurst definitely did a number on our field in the Lotus 79 Grand Prix Legends, or Lotus 79 Classic Teams Championship Series. I'm mixing up my decades. Marco Kayla took the win about 6 seconds ahead of Timothy Reed, but that really wasn't the whole story. Marco backed it up at the end, just trying to bring the thing home. As Timothy Reed, we understand, lost fuel at the end. He ran out of gas and had to limp it home to second, as Jukka Tolanen was third. He had a bit of an incident with 2 laps to go and fell away from Timothy. Pauli Partonen finished 4th as Sanchez went from 11th to 5th. Severi Seppa qualified poorly, started to gain some positions, was as high as 4th, had a slip up and wound up 6th. Karthik Pai was 7th today, a gain from 15th position, and 17th to 8th for Pablo Suarez. It is Loic Barba finishing 9th, and rounding out your top 10 conveniently, the last on the lead lap was Rafael Franco. Rachel, what's the next 10 look like?
11th place, we've got Xavier Sanchez, Keith Herner, I should actually say there, as we then have Thomas Barfi, Jonas Bergqvist in 13th with Edu Villa in 14th, Peter Kalinski in 15th, Daniel Gales in 16th, 10 from 26th there, Frankie D 17th, Javier Mosquera in 18th with Costa in 19th, Freckleton 20th, Tackerberry in 21st, Swerts 22nd West, 23rd with Dubois 24th, Train Grade 25th and Millward 26th.
So let's take a look at the incident on lap 2 that really claimed a majority of the drivers who DNF'd today. It starts with Dubois, who, as we saw, just clipped the wall. Ove Trangrade was the first on the scene and could not avoid it. Here we can see them coming up through the cutting, and this is where it unravels. Watch the left-hand side of the car. Just glanced it really at first. That's all it needed.
Yeah, it can be that way sometimes.
Was that Sanchez in the blue and red that avoided it? If so, my goodness, the 5 car really dodged a bullet to get himself that top 5 finish. Here it is.
Yeah, I think it came down to that.
Wow. There's where your life flashes before your eyes.
Yeah, totally. Wow, yeah. Sanchez just threaded the needle there. That was a full-on trench run on the Death Star.
Well, sad to see that claimed so many victims, but we do have our 3rd place finisher ready to talk to us, Jukka Tolvanen, who unfortunately didn't get out unscathed from the mountain. He also had a bit of a wreck late on in the race, but the Finn was able to get it home to 3rd in the end. Jukka, congratulations on a podium. You were putting a lot of pressure on Timothy. Did you feel like you had more speed with him? Were you being held up, or were you just clinging to the back for most of that race?
Well, I definitely had more speed, but I had just a couple of laps to try to overtake in the end, so I had to take really big risks to be able to even try that. And well, in the end, that risk somewhat realized. So I tried to get a good exit to the long back straight, but lost it under braking. And well, it was done then. But yeah, I don't regret it. I was giving my everything to get the second today. And yeah, the guys behind were so far away that I thought that it would be reasonable to try that.
Yeah, you had such a gap. Obviously, that was a big help in being able to at least throw a little bit more at it. But we did hear from some of the onboards, it sounded like as you were catching Timothy, that you were kind of getting wheel hop into that corner. Is that what you were experiencing inside of the car? Is that what cost you in the end?
I'm not sure what are you talking about, but maybe it was someone else.
Stable under braking.
Yeah. But yeah, anyhow, I had spin already early in the race, and I had a light touch the wall, so I don't know if that affected anyhow, but yeah.
Still, it's a 3rd. You've missed a few this season. The drop weeks, if you can show up a bit more, will help you out on that sense. And your best finish, though, do you plan to show up for more and try and carry this momentum on?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we'll definitely be looking out for you, because that was an impressive run there with your speed around such a challenging track. Is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to that helped make this podium possible?
Well, of course, you guys again, and Pauli Partanen and Michael de Turk this week, especially. Thanks.
Well, thank you for coming and chatting with us. That was Jukka Tolvanen, finishing 3rd after starting from 6th on the grid. It looks like that might be the last of our interviews. Unfortunately, would have liked to hear from Marco or Timothy, but again, we want to give a big thank you to the Lotus 79 community for bringing us out for another season of coverage, and also thank you to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more awesome work. And thanks to the team today, Rachel, Ryan, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Also, check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a moment, because next race, it's a newer course, the Hungaroring, on Sunday, October 31st at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully nobody gets spooked off by that one. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out, mark them down on your calendar. Up next in just a few minutes, the Absolute Beginners League goes to Hungary as well, and that'll be at 2 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.